Wealth starts in the mind. Wealth does not start with your bank account. Most people chase money their entire lives, but never realize it's not about what they do, it's about who they are. Wealth never starts with strategy, it starts with identity. I remember for years, I was working at this, 3 years in fact, and getting no results. But I had it backwards. I kept working. There's got to be a better strategy. The problem was always me. And when I realized that, that's when everything changed. If you don't see yourself as wealthy, abundant, and powerful, nothing you do will ever be enough. Today, I'm going to show you the absolute game-changing shift that unlocks everything and why your next financial breakthrough starts right now. But it starts in your mind. It does not start in your bank account. It does not start outside of you. You know, years ago, I was working at this really hard. I was sharing that earlier. And maybe some of you who are working at this as hard as I was and are not getting the results. I was in debt. I was stressed. I was just about to get married. And I was exhausted from chasing success. I always say, when I was chasing wealth, in chasing success, it was the most miserable I had ever been. I studied more. I was studying hours and hours and hours a day, but I wasn't acting like the person I wanted to become. I was working harder. I bought every course that you could think about. I hired coaches. Nothing changed. But the truth why nothing changed is I was working with a broken identity. And I was so fortunate enough to meet a man who became my greatest mentor, who just changed the game for me. And I realized something powerful in our first conversation. And my mentor, Bob Proctor, says, "You don't know what the hell you're doing." I always laugh thinking back at this. He said, "You don't know this, you know about it." And I'm forever telling clients, they say, "Oh, Rush, I know this." I say, "Tell me your results." "Well, I'm not getting the results." "Well, you don't know it." And that's what my mentor told me. And I embraced that. And that was where the breakthrough happened. You're not failing right now because you're not good enough. You're not failing because lack of effort. You're failing because your mindset is wired for scarcity. And I want you to ask yourself that. Is my mindset currently wired for scarcity? And all you have to do is look at what you're attracting into your life. Well, that day I made a decision. And it was like a decision I've never made. I stopped worrying about the past and I said, I'm just going to follow the direction my mentor was going to give me for the next year like a game. And I literally did everything he told me. But in that moment, when I decided, that's why I always say nothing happens until you make a decision. I rewired how I saw myself. I stopped chasing wealth and I became the version of me who already had it. Now, I was a great student from that moment on. I remember Jim Rohn used to say something, and he said, success is always about the person you become. And it didn't click with me. I didn't really understand at that time because I was super ignorant and I was super green. But I now, as my awareness kept increasing month after month, year after year, I never forgot what Jim said. But within months, and I mean months, my outside results started changing, but it didn't just change by accident. Everything started changing. My confidence, I would be walking in a room and people were treating me much different. But when I made that internal shift, that's what I want to talk to you about today. Deals started closing. My income exploded and opportunities flowed in. Wealth doesn't come from hustle. It came from identity. Now, I want you to put in the comments below, I am ready to explode my wealth. I want you to comment right now below. Because every time you comment, guess what? You're bringing it into existence. And I want it with exclamation points if that is you. Now, what I want you to do is ask yourself these critical questions I'm about to ask you. This will tell you the most honest assessment of where your identity is around wealth. What do I really believe about money? What do I really believe about money? And then I want you to ask yourself, what do I really believe about wealth? Is it easy? Is it just for the select few? Is it hard? Or am I ready to receive wealth? And then if you're a business owner, I want you to ask yourself about this. What do I believe about my business? Like, I'm forever talking about my business. I have such a love story with my company, Voss Coaching Co. I'm wearing it right now. I have my logo everywhere. I'm proud of it. But if we don't have a great relationship with our business, then we're going to constantly be sabotaging it. And then what do you really believe about your health? Because without health, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You want to prioritize yourself. But when you ask empowering questions, you get empowering answers. And don't judge this, whatever it is. If right now you have a terrible relationship with money, nobody can understand better than me, because I used to have a terrible relationship. But once we bring it to the surface, now we can shift our identity instead of burying it deep inside of us. Now, successful people always do things that unsuccessful people are not willing to do. So what is the formula? It's winning habits, it's winning processes, it's winning standards. That's the formula right there. Wealth is always a spiritual idea. And what I'm giving you today is what I discovered as the ultimate cheat code that I've showed thousands of people on how to create wealth, and I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you the direction to unlock wealth, not just financially, but spiritually and emotionally. But in order to understand that wealth is a spiritual idea, you have to operate on the higher spiritual plane. That is where everything is. That's where the game changes. Now, let me give you an idea of this, okay? I want to show you something, and I want to tell you a story about this. So, years ago, I had the best relationship with my mentor, Bob Proctor, and he was coming to Scottsdale, Arizona. And I called him. I said, Bob, can we meet to go over my goals? It was the beginning of the year. And he said, of course. So I came in, and I had just had the best year of my life at this point. And I said, he said, well, what are your goals? He said, before I ask you what your goals are, I know what you're thinking. And I said, well, what am I thinking? He said, you're wondering, can I repeat the results, or can I get better results? I said, that's exactly what I was thinking. Well, what he did is what I want to show you here. He drew this diagram for me. He said, Arash, this is where you are right now. And all these lines represent frequency, okay? And he said, we can only attract on frequency. Your goal is on a much higher frequency. But he said, right now, you just had your best year, but you have worry, doubt, and fear. Can I do it again? So all your thoughts are down here. All your thoughts right now are down here. And I said, you're right. And he said, I want you to only think thoughts from up here. And you may think this was so simple. It was for me. And I remember there was like this grand piano that was lifted off of my back. And I disciplined myself to think on that higher spiritual plane, that everything I was going to do from that moment was going to think, feel, and act from my goal. But the truth is, every time I was thinking from down here, there was no goal. All I was doing was defaulting to my old self. So I want you to learn what I learned, and it's the little things that make the big difference. And I remember telling him then, I said, all I have to do is think, feel, and act. He said, that's it. He said, Arash, this isn't rocket science, and I want you to do it going forward. Now, when we are talking about wealth, you have to understand, there's a great quote by David Gikandi. He says, you create money by increasing your value inside yourself. You then experience money by exchanging the value you have built in you. And I want you to hear the words that you have built in you. You exchange it with others by providing services, goods, and money to others in exchange for other services, goods, and money. Now, how I want you to start thinking of wealth right now is I want you to think about money and connect it to value. Value, money, money, value. I want everything you to think about money is how can I create value? But what if I told you that wealth is easy to create and prosperity is not for the chosen few? And then what if I told you that cheat code that I'm talking about in this video is not out of reach for you. Wealth never begins with money. It always begins with identity. It always begins with worth. Now, in order to do that, we have to make a decision right now that you're going to kill off your old self. And that means this is an unshakable decision that you say, I'm only coming from my future self. Now, if you're ready to kill off your old self and build the best version of you and create a life of freedom, I want you to type in the comments right now, yes. And I want it bold. I want you to own your power. Now, the greatest value is in who you become. Now, here's what I believe. The greatest value of building wealth is not on the outside. It's not just financial freedom. It's personal evolution. It's ascending you. When you transform you, you're going to transform your identity and you're going to transform your wealth. You will become someone who thinks differently, decides differently, and lives in alignment with long-term legacy and impact. Wealth isn't just about what you do, it's about how you think, what you tolerate, what you prioritize, and who you partner with. This is absolutely crucial if you want to create a completely transformed identity. And this is the true wealth formula. It's about being, doing, and having. Most people have this backwards. They think once I have the money, then I'll do the things I want. Then I'll be successful. But true transformation never works like that. And here's the truth. We have to be it first. What does that mean, being it? You shift your identity. You become the kind of person who thinks, decides, and acts from abundance. Then you do from that identity, meaning you think, feel, and act from the person who's already achieved your goal. And you start making bolder decisions. You act before you're ready. You take aligned action. You invest in yourself with clarity and confidence. And then you're going to naturally have the results you want. And that's what's going to create real lasting wealth. You don't get wealthy and then you become successful. You become successful and create the habits, the processes, and standards, and wealth always follows. Now, I want you to think about your goal. And I want you to ask yourself, at this moment, am I all in on my goal? Or is it a wish or a hope? Your real goal isn't just about having more money. It's to become someone that is fully aligned with wealth, in mindset, in identity, in habits, and in your vision. Because when your identity aligns with wealth, you no longer chase money, you always attract it. Our goal is to live the best version of ourselves. I want you to enjoy the most amazing experiences. You know, I always say, like right now, I'm out of town. As I'm recording this, I'm on a trip with my family. And I always think back when I was struggling. And maybe some of you can relate to that, where you're struggling right now, where this is what I dreamed of. And I'm not telling you that to impress you about me. I'm telling you to impress upon you. If I can do it, you could do it. But I paid the price in building the disciplines, behaving out of my comfort zone, and now I can go anywhere in the world, and that's what I want you to have. I want you to live the most amazing experiences and have the frequency of those experiences. But in order to do that, it takes a determined goal that non-negotiable, this is what I'm doing. I don't care how long it takes. And it takes shifting from hoping, forcing, and grinding to deciding, aligning, and receiving. It's not just about earning more money, it's about becoming more. Because the version of you that is already financially free effortlessly builds wealth from the inside out. My goal for you today is to activate that. Right now, you have an identity gap from where you are to where you want to go, and I want you to understand that. But guess what? Everyone in the world right now has an identity gap. I have an identity gap. The people who are crushing it have an identity gap. There's always a gap from where we are to where we want to go in certain areas of our life. Maybe you're watching this and yours is around money, or maybe you're watching it and it's around health. Your goal isn't just wealth, it's about living the way you want to live. And when you do that, everything changes. But in order to do that, I want you to ask yourself this question: who am I being today? And is that identity aligned with my next level of wealth? There's always a gap between the income you desire and the identity you're operating from. Until that gap is closed, you're going to constantly be sabotaging delaying, and underperforming. I don't want you to live like the masses where they live the same year 50, 60 years in a row. That is not living our potential. I want you to unlock your potential. I want you to be the person who already has, right now, I want you to accept it, that you already have that level of wealth inside of you like it already exists. Now, our job is to become that. Our internal identity always sets our financial thermostat. Just look at your results. There's the financial thermostat, there's the gap. You only allow what your self-image feels is normal. You may earn more 1 month to the next, and then it'll come back down to that thermostat. Money will always match the identity you are most loyal to. But what happens when you don't shift? I want you to think just not doing what I'm suggesting. This is what's going to happen. You're going to continue to plateau. You're not activating your potential. You stay stuck in cycles of growth and double binding messages. You hoard, you hold money so tightly, you don't take risks, you hesitate, and you don't make real decisions. Without identity transformation, every strategy, I can assure you, is temporary. But I want you to unlock automatic wealth. But here's the shift. We've got to prioritize rewiring our identity so what you do every day matters. We want to upgrade our standards because we will never outperform our standards. We want to build aligned systems, and I want you to make powerful decisions. And I want you to partner up with mentors who've already performed the result and do exactly what they tell you to do. Wealth becomes automatic when you operate from the identity that expects it. But I want you for a moment to let your imagination go. I want you to imagine you 12 months from now following my direction, that your net worth is double. How would that feel? I want you just to play with me right now. If your net worth had doubled, what would that mean to you? Your money is working harder than you are. Now you're understanding that money is your servant because you connect it to value. You're no longer in hustle mode, and you feel so confident, and you're the person you wish you could have been 12 months prior. That's what's going to happen. What you want to look at is this. What do I believe right now in this moment when I ask you this question? What do I believe about my own worthiness right now to absolutely 10x my life? Do you reject that? Do you accept it? Do you think it's possible? That will tell you the identity gap. Now, I want you to make this as a part of your philosophy. I never chase money. I attract it by the person I become. So I'm putting more investment in what I do every day with my habits, my disciplines, my mentors, the type of seminars I go to, and I'm going to execute at the highest level. I want you to create a spiritual economy. This is an abundant economy where you are using your natural gifts, where you're doing what you love and loving what you do. We are spiritual beings living in a physical body. When you tap into the essence of who you are, that's when magic happens in your life. But I want you to tap into the essence on a spiritual level towards creating your own economy. What is the economy you want to create? Do you want to turn your annual income into your monthly income? Do you want to double your sales over the next 90 days? It's all in your hands. But understand, your identity is built by your standards. If you want to change your life, you don't just set bigger goals, you raise what you demand from yourself every single day. The moment you do, you don't just change what you achieve, you change who you become. And that is where real wealth creates power. But understand this, before wealth can ever show up, it first has to be planted in your subconscious mind on a deep level, and your belief system will change. Self-image is always an inside game. When you change the dominant image of how you see yourself, you are going to be rewarded by the changes on the outside. This is why so many people have it backwards, where I said earlier, they want to have more before they become more. It will never happen. And this is why so many people grind for years and stay stuck. It's not that they're not working hard. It's that deep down, they've never given themselves permission to become who they truly wanted. A few months ago, I have this event, World Class Wealth. And I'm sitting in front of the audience, I told them, this is what I've discovered is the biggest hidden commitment that people make is they never give themselves permission to soar. They're always protecting themselves from who they really want to be. They give themselves so many excuses that they want more, but things are okay, I'm doing better than most. Don't do that. I want you to give yourself right now permission to absolutely soar and create the life you want. But in order to do that, you have to commit with me right now to build an enormous idea of yourself. Forget about the results. The results are based on the past you. If you see yourself in an enormous image, if you see yourself bigger, you're going to see more opportunities. Your habits are going to grow and you're going to align with that version of you. You're going to dream big, but you're going to execute bigger. And you will have an image that no longer sabotages you. Right before you're about to reach the pinnacle of your achievement, you're never going to sabotage yourself like you did before. See, that's why upgraded standards starts with an upgraded image of ourselves. If I don't have a big image of myself, I'm never going to grow to that person. If you look at this right here, that's what my mentor did for me. He saw me in a bigger image, but I leveraged his experience. I would leverage 56 years of his experience, and it did me so much good. And I want you to leverage what I leverage for you. I want you to understand there's nothing you can't accomplish. So I want you to have the courage to bet on yourself. Nothing good happens until we bet on ourselves. And I want you to bet on yourself in the biggest, most bold way, because when you do, life becomes so magical. But understand right now, you have a program that is running you. So do I. Now, I have changed my program so significantly, and that's what you're going to do today. But 95% of our day is run by our old program unless we're intentional. So I want every day for you to be intentional to think, feel, and act like the person you want to become. And I don't want you to go back to the old program. I don't want you to go back to the setting that is creating the results that you want to change. No matter what you achieve or earn temporarily, remember, if your internal program is not changed, then the results will not change. When you go deeper with yourself, everything will change. You know, true wealth starts and ends with how you see yourself. That's why I shared that I want you to build an enormous image of yourself. I want you to suggest to yourself every day. One of the best things I ever implemented was auto-suggestion. It's giving yourself a suggestion from yourself to yourself. I want you to think about your goal right now. And I want you to get in a habit. Every 3 hours, put an alarm on your phone. And when that alarm goes off for 3 minutes, I want you to repeat your goal to yourself over and over again. I'm so happy and grateful now. I've turned my annual income into my monthly income. And you do it over and over and over. The repetition creates our reputation. The more we repeat what we want, that's exactly what's going to show up in our mind. And what happens with it is you're suggesting to yourself on a conscious level, and then through the repetition over and over again, you're going to break through the old program, and on a subconscious level, that suggestion is going to be planted inside of you, which is going to alter your vibration, which once you alter your vibration, your results change. Your story determines your success. What is your story right now? What are you embodying? What are you telling yourself? Remember, every situation that we have in our life is a story. Our mind creates meaning to X circumstance, and then it turns it into a story and hands it over to our brain, and our brain turns it into a belief. You must begin by telling yourself a different story. I want you to tell yourself a story that I take my family on the most amazing vacations every year, that I wake up knowing I'm going to win the day. Regardless what happens, I'm never letting the outside control me. But by deeply accepting this truth that you are worthy, deserving, and capable, that's when you're going to have great experiences. So you understand, what is the story that is dominating me? And is that in harmony with how I want to live? If it's not in harmony, we have to change it. How you narrate your story impacts your present and your future. And remember this, your past is just a story. That's all it is a story. So I don't want you to keep reverting back to the old you. I want you to step into the new you, that new you that is living freedom. But understand, Your goal is so great for you. Your goal is driving how you think, how you feel, and how you act if you have a real goal. But remember, if you're thinking like I was years ago from my present results, there is no goal. All you're doing is defaulting to your old program. I want you carrying yourself all day long like the person who's already achieved your goal. I want, from this moment, put an alarm on your phone at 5:15 a.m. and when the alarm goes off, this is what I want it to say. Just for today, I'm making every decision from the person who's already achieved my goal. And then I want you to commit. Nothing happens without discipline. Discipline tells the world that I'm serious about my goal and that I value myself. Discipline is not a penalty you're giving yourself. It's where freedom is created. And we have to intentionally discipline ourselves to think, feel, and act like the person who's already achieved it, and then we take massive action every day. The only thing that is standing between where you are and where you want to go is how you see yourself. And I want you to see yourself enormous. But understand that if you don't make decisions from the goal, you're making decisions from your current circumstance, and you're going to get frustrated. Everything from the outside world will be the same as what it's always been. But I want you to make an irrevocable, unshakable decision. I don't care what's happened in my past, this is what I'm doing. And that is the only gap that you have to fill. And when you do, you're going to start seeing everything line up perfectly for you. What I'm talking about is awareness. But do you understand what awareness is? There's an amazing inner world that exists within us. And the understanding of such a world, that we have so much power, that our spiritual DNA is perfect, that we have infinite potential, and how we use that potential is going to dictate our life. That we can have anything we desire within the laws of the universe. That's awareness. People are not broke because of money. People are not wealthy because they're not good enough. It's because of how they use their mind. They're all due to mindset. How are you using your mind? Are you constantly letting the economy dictate it, what your environment is telling you? Or are you making bold decisions and really being so good at accepting and rejecting ideas from your future self? Remind yourself, I cannot solve an identity problem with strategy. I have to think in a certain way, and that certain way is by law. If you want wealth, start asking yourself, who am I? My spiritual DNA is absolutely perfect. This is who you are. It is all-knowing, it is all-powerful, it is ever-present, and it is the real you. And if you're not really making it happen right now, you do not understand this. I want you to become more and more aware that your spiritual DNA is perfect. How do you become more and more aware? Create a declaration statement. I'm so happy and grateful now that I am more aware every day that my spiritual DNA is perfect. I am all-knowing. I have access to all the power in the world. It is the real me. And if you do that, everything changes. But understand this, when you shift your identity, you shift your entire world. You will never wait for success. Success is waiting for you to feel that you deserve it. The universe will never give you something you don't feel worthy of keeping. That's why identity is so crucial. When people attempt to transform their income, the biggest mistake they make is they prioritize income itself. I don't want you to do that. The key to income is increasing your value. I want you to constantly increase your value, which will result in increased income. How do you do that? Every day, wake up with a 10x value obsession. How can I best serve the most amount of people? Income doesn't just show up because you want it. It shows up by solving problems, by creating real value. Ask yourself every day, who can I help today? And when you start living the impression of increase, everything changes. Money is always a reward you reap from the service you render. The more valuable the service, the greater the reward. People always say, I want to earn more money, Rush. I want to scale my business. The question always has to be, how can I serve the most people at the highest level? When you make yourself irreplaceable in the marketplace, the world won't just pay you, it's going to chase you down. So instead of chasing money, I want you to chase income. I want you to upgrade your belief system. I want you to upgrade your skill set. Serve in a way that is absolutely excellent, and people will feel it. When you change your focus from earning money to making the greatest impact, money becomes a byproduct naturally. Money is a great servant, but a horrible master. Most people don't understand money. When you are obsessed with service, money stops becoming your master and starts becoming your servant. Serve first, and I promise you success will follow. I want you to leverage your life, leverage your results, leverage your old self. You can leverage everything by learning from it and killing off your old self. But leverage always creates freedom. And I want you to every day to look at your results. When you are really creating great results, what are the things you're doing? And I want you to double down, triple down, quadruple down on only doing those things. Leverage the results, the activities. There's only 3, 4, 5 activities every day that will create amazing results. And that's what I want you to do. But understand, this whole formula doesn't work without faith. Faith is critical. Faith is not believing someday something will happen in the future. That's when you're disconnected. Faith is accepting as fact what your senses deny. I want you to live like you already have it. I want you to feel excited. I want you to have the pride. I want you to have it so a natural part of you like breathing. It's living from the end, feeling the results already achieved while your senses tell you otherwise. There is no result, there is no wealth without action. And faith and action mixed together create amazing results. Action without faith, guess what it leads to? Chasing. It leads to hustle, grinding, working harder with burnout. God, I used to do it. I'm telling you, learn from my mistakes. It's not how you create freedom. You could have success by grinding, but then it's going to lead to burnout. But when you combine unshakable faith with right action every day, you're going to create effortless success. Nothing happens without our imagination. That's why accepting and rejecting only what you want. I want you to be obsessed with only thinking about what you want all day long. What you hold in your imagination with unwavering faith must manifest in the physical world. But none of this works without discipline. It's about acting with expectation. People get stuck because they think faith means waiting. Faith is a verb. Faith is about demonstrating. It's about action. And the world always rewards bold action. I want you to be bold. I want you to understand everything you want is on its own frequency. And our job is to become one with the frequency of what we want by thinking like that person, having mentors like that person has, taking action like that, masterminding with people who are doing those things. Faith is more than a mindset, it's a frequency. If you're stuck right now, go back to the question I asked earlier. Am I waiting for permission? Am I wishing and hoping instead of believing? When faith and action are mixed together, breakthroughs are inevitable. They happen automatically. But when you start bringing all your results up to your new personal standard, life is going to start becoming magical. Your standards, though, are directly affected by your circle, the books you read, the mentors you have. And if you don't have mentors, I'm telling you, that's a major mistake. It's costing you a lot more by not having them than what it would cost in terms of results. If everyone around you is thinking that earning 6 figures is a big deal, then that becomes your limit. If you surround yourself with a circle of 7, 8-figure earners, if that's where you want to go, your standard gets raised the minute you're in that circle. That's why you have to get intentional about what you're putting inside of you. But you have to get intentional by your environment. You've got to get intentional about your thinking, about the type of actions you take. You can't be around people who are looking to constantly settle if you're looking to explode and create exponential growth. Standards are so important. They're more important than goals. You don't rise to your goals, you rise to your standards. Refuse to lower your standards isn't about being perfect. It's about committing to your highest potential. I want you to understand there's no limit to what you can achieve. You have greatness inside of you. I can't give you greatness. I can activate it by giving you the right information, by giving you the right philosophy on how to activate who you really are. But consistency always compounds, consistency always multiplies, and consistency always builds unstoppable momentum. Wealth never starts in your bank account, it always starts in your mind. Everything starts and ends in the mind. And if you're still thinking like your old self and keep repeating old ideas, no matter how hard you work, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. I want you to watch this video over and over again. And if you like this, I want you to subscribe. I want you to share it to somebody. But I also want you to go watch right now, go watch my video that I did on standards. It will mix this so well together. And if you stay on my channel, which I know you will, you're going to love it. I hope this really impacted you. And also look at the link that I'm going to put in as a free download for you. Have an amazing day. Understand there's no limit to where you could go. Go create a life of freedom for yourself.